Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the PinkUn Show, our dedicated Canaries shenanigans. That's idea of warm weather training is an extra jumper and a brisk walk along Yarmouth seafront. I am Michael Bailey. We are here at the Woolpack Public House in the centre of Norwich, and we are live. Eventually, clearly apologies, that was 40 minutes of technical issues, and Dan is now a particularly different shade of purple to what he was half an hour ago. We do apologise. Our idea of being at our new earlier time of 6 p.m. didn't quite work out. Fingers crossed for next week, but we will still be here for around half an hour with you, unless one of these two guys walks out before then, because I've got a bus to catch, and we will discuss the big talking points following the final international break of the year. I know Scott wants to talk about something there. Ask what we learned from Tampa, ponder the thought of the prospect of an AGM while City are top of the league, wonder if the EFL has a fight on its hand, and look ahead to 2 long trips in the space of 4 days to welcome back the Championship action. We will do that in the company of tonight's guests, that is former Canaries and Scotland under-21 goalkeeper Scott Howie and former editor of the City fanzine Liverpool are on the telly again, and now behind the website Norwich City Heaven, Ian Lindsay, and debutant too. Gentlemen, how are you doing? Scott, first of all, you well?
Very well, thank you, Michael. How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling better now we're going. That helps a lot. Thank you for not having walked out. You even bought your own drinks. I feel a bit bad about that.
Well, part of the course. Standard, really. Standard.
Especially with this show, but there we go. Lovely to have you on again. Ian, I say debutant. You did come on when we were in the show on Mustard TV.
Ago.
Yeah,
exactly.
3.5. Was it that long ago?
3.5 years ago.
Gosh. And you brought in a couple of your old fanzines, which is great. We're going to have a talk about those in a minute. But all well in your world?
Not too bad, thank you. I hope you're not too stressed after the technical issues.
No, we're coping just about. You wouldn't have sat next to Wesley Moulahan back in the Mustard studio, would you?
No, I wouldn't. No.
Improvement to the show?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the spirit. Love you. Good stuff, Ian. Right, so we are live now, thankfully, over at PinkUn.com and the PinkUn Facebook page, and we want to hear from you, of course, be it the prospects of Swansea and Hull, your team for the Liberty Stadium, what you would do, what you would offer Daniel Farker in his new contract, quite like that one, but especially the one question you want answering at tomorrow's annual general meeting, the only time in the year when sausage rolls and toilets appear just as important as ownership models. You can get all those through to us here down the pub. Simply post your words below the live feed, which is hopefully on the PinkUn Facebook page. Make sure it is the PinkUn Facebook page feed. Thank you, Jono, for sorting that out. And those will, all being well, post through on this phone. Miles Hopkins says OTBC. James Beck, yellows. Ruth Collins waiting. Yeah, sorry about that, Ruth. James Beck, just a lot of full stops. I don't know if that means he's given up. And Mike Draper, hello from Chesterfield, where probably the lag has just about meant that Mike thinks we're on time. We appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts over the course of the night, and I will check in on them as we go through the evening. Fresh from a request on the Talk Norwich City podcast on Monday night to ditch the obtrusive horn, we haven't actually had the time to replace it, so it is back, and hopefully Ian is going to do a reasonable job with muffling it. That's the idea, hopefully, which works as an introduction to Wesley Moulahan's return after missing last week's Carrow Road show, and of course to Onel Hernandez's controversial inclusion, and this week's Norwich City headlines. Arrest is as good as a panic. Jamal Lewis misses out on Northern Ireland game, and the paranoia kicks in. Fortunately, Jamal was rested. The rest appears to have come through, and the rest of his teammates appear to have come through unscathed, and it's all back together for the final push of 2018. Top news. EFL. New 5-year thanks, Scott. New 5-year deal has top Championship clubs grinding their teeth. They are not happy. Norwich City are believed to be among their number, although we're not talking breakaway leagues just yet. That said, at some point we will hear a lot more about all this. The war may have only just begun. Handy for Hanley. Grant gets new long-term deal at Norwich City. It's a warm, fuzzy thought that the Scot is still to come into the Canaries squad following injury. He may yet be waiting a while. And finally, warding off interest. City Executive Committee member Zoe Ward completes her first interview in the new role exclusively to PinkUn.com, and the general consensus from supporters is that their world is in safe hands. With that and the sitting top of the table, it's all going rather swimmingly. Perfect timing for tomorrow's AGM, when hopefully the lack of England tenures won't be on the agenda. Well done, Ian. Sterling job. Hopefully no dogs went nuts at the sound of the high-pitch squawking of the table. Much appreciated. Gents, let's start by reflecting on the international break, shall we? Did anything float your boat in the last 2 weeks? Scott, I know it did you, because you picked up on the fact it wasn't in the script.
I did mention it. I thought there was some anti-Scots bias there, and I thought I'd put it out there. I just want to congratulate everyone involved with Scotland for promotion into the next level. The League of Nations, or what it's called.
I don't even know what it's called.
Okay, no idea what it's called.
To which level was it, Scott?
Up to level B.
Level B.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. We won't bring up England.
It's significantly below where England are at the moment. But
I tell you what, I mean, what have you made of the Nations League? I haven't still quite got my head around the actual format, but do you like it? It seems to have added a new dimension.
Well, from what I understand about it and the way the finals will work out, I think it's been quite a good thing. I think there was always a concern that because we were playing a series of games late in June next year, that it might impact on qualification. But I think there's a backdoor entry system that they can. That sounds terrible. I think there's an alternative route to alternative route should it not go well in the qualifications because the players weren't rested. So I think it's been good. It's kind of gone away with the kind of pointless friendlies and put a little bit of impetus and enjoyment into it.
You enjoyed the international break, Ian?
Actually, yeah. I think England obviously are doing really well, and we've got young players coming through. Gareth's doing a great job. Wasn't too sure about him at the start, but he's doing marvellous. And James Maddison's unfortunately has lost his chance now of that playmaker role, because Ross Barkley's come back on the scene at the wrong time for James.
I mean, that's the thing about that level of competition, the quality of players out and around it. I mean, I think Maddison is injured as well at the moment, which probably doesn't help. But I have to say, I was doubtful of Gareth Southgate as well, but my goodness, what a job he's done.
Brilliant.
He's done a fantastic job. I think he had a fantastic World Cup. They did really well. I think you can only kind of play the teams that come your way, and he beat the ones he needed to beat, and unfortunately they didn't quite get it at the end, but yeah, they did really well.
Right, let's got some other things pointing through. Let's have a look. Daniel Walker, love the show. Thank you, Daniel. I'm glad we're actually bringing it to you, because that was in doubt for a bit. 9 points minimum from the next 4 games. Fingers crossed. I reckon we'll ask that one in a bit. Barry Taylor says hello from Great Falls, VA, Virginia. Do you reckon Virginia, USA? Dan saying yes. Thank you very much. I'm not hot on my American states. And more like it. Wayne Stammers, hello from Beccles on the Bull City. Michael Montgomery, hello from Manly Beach in Australia.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow.
Can't even picture going abroad at the moment. Wonderful. And St John Cooper, Nations League is excellent and format is very easy. Yes, that's partly my bad. I haven't looked into it and got my head around it properly. But there we go. While Norwich's international players are out and about, all have come through unscathed, which is really good. The rest of the squad were in Tampa, which seems to have gone down well. We know that they've had commercial opportunities they've made the most of, picked up on some tidbits from American sports teams as well, I suppose. Scott, what have you made of doing a trip like that? Did you ever have anything like that when you were playing?
Yeah, did we not quite America. We went to Marbella on a golfing trip once. It was supposedly to go.
I'm sure that's the same thing.
No, it was supposedly to go over the trauma of having sold Chris Sutton for a British record transfer fee at the time.
It paid for your trip, did it? I bet.
Paid for the trip, yeah. So, I had my doubts beforehand about them going, but then the manner in which you beat Millwall, it worked out really well, because the last result always kind of dwells on you when you go away like that, and not to win the game from behind and go top of the league, it doesn't get any better than that. So they'll be really positive.
I remember saying at the time they could probably have floated there rather than needing the plane. So Ward's first interview, Ian, did you get a chance to read that? What did you make of it?
Fortunately, I didn't.
Oh,
I'm afraid.
Well, that's disgrace. No, I'll let you off. Don't worry. Scott, did you see what Zoe said? Because that's the first time she's had a chance to speak. She's in a new role, and obviously is a committee with Stuart and with Ben Kensel as well.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch it either. So that's the end of that segment.
Well, watch the TNC podcast, because I talked about it and I interviewed Zoe, so you can catch up on it there. Grant Hanley's new deal. We're aware of that?
Very good.
Yes, good. Ian, what do you make of that?
Good for Grant, but at the moment he's not going to get in the side, which is obviously a good thing.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a lot of posts on Twitter about the fact, you've got to love Twitter, that he's not even some fans' he's their fourth choice centre back now, yeah. And actually having the pairing of Christoph Zimmermann and Tim Closer is a better pairing. So I mean, would you? I know he's not in the team yet, but do you see a point where he will come back in?
Well, only if Norwich revert to three at the back again, which I can't, or 3 centre backs, which is unlikely at the present time. But I don't think it worked that well before.
What do you make of it, Scott?
I think he's a quality player.
Because he's Scottish.
No, I think he's a high quality. He's someone I've kind of seen for many years, and he's a high quality player. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a very committed player, and he is a physical presence. I think the way Norwich are playing just now, you can't really change the team as it is just now, and they're doing fantastically well. But you do need that strength and depth in your squad, and I think he's someone that can come in and fit in. Not necessarily just a 3. I think he can play in a 4 as well. I don't think it's a problem.
I mean, we know what the Championship's like. Things change, doesn't it? It's always, you can tell how the sides evolve, and just as the course of the season and form comes and goes.
Exactly. But at the moment, we'd keep the team the same. The momentum's going well. Grant will have to wait his chance in the next few weeks, maybe, when Christoph gets in or something.
Well, this is it, exactly right. Or suspensions, you never know. I think that window's coming up soon, the amnesty. The EFL TV deal, has that registered on either of your radars?
A little bit, yeah. I think I know obviously the top clubs aren't very happy with it. I think a lot depends on what happens in the Premiership and where they're going to go, and with Scudamore getting his golden hand or his supposed golden handshake and what have you. I think everything's up in the air at the moment, but I think Norwich are in a good position because where they are in the league just now, they're looking up and they're looking towards the new Premier League football deal and to see what that will bring. But financially, you've got to be looking at what's available to you right now and what's guaranteed, if you like. So I think there's still quite a lot. It's a bit of a wait and see and see what happens over the next few weeks, really.
Yeah, I sort of agree with what Scott says mainly. Norwich are doing well at the moment, and next season we might not have to worry about it anyway from the Premier League.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice. Right, let's have a look at some of these messages. Give me a chance while I read them. For the record, I was on the Talk Norwich City podcast talking about my interview with Zoe Ward, so you can catch that. But of course, you can read the actual interviews over at PinkUn.com. We might have a slate for that, Dan. I'm getting him to work a bit hard tonight, so we'll see how we get on there. What we got? Ollie Jackson says, "Hi boys." Hello there, Ollie. Tony Bisham. Hello, Michael. Was there a technical problem at 6? Yes, Tony. There was a technical problem at 6, and it lasted until about 20-7. But we are hopefully catching up and powering on through now. What else have we got? Let's have a look. Stephen Richards, how about a 3.5-year contract, renewable every season for Dan the Man? ? Does feel like we've come a long way since the start of the season, to be honest, Ian, with Daniel and his contract.
Yeah, Daniel. I mean, at the start of the season, everybody, including myself, was doubting him. Now he's like the man of the moment and everything, and he can't do no wrong. So, give him another couple of years, I say.
Good stuff. Ben Harold says, "I think we need to give the board a break. Brave to restructure 18 months ago and to bring in Webber." Facebook doesn't allow me to read the rest of your message, Ben, but I think that is a sentiment that's probably going to be reflected at the AGM, of course. Get your questions in that you would like asked at the AGM, what you would ask if you wanted to ask the powers that be anything in terms of at Norwich City. It is the AGM tomorrow night, so let's have a little talk about that, because we already know the financial bones of Norwich's situation. We know the club has money now. It probably will have to owe all that money and a little bit more by the end of this season, and we know where they are in the division. So with Norwich being top, it should be a decent atmosphere around the AGM. There should be a lot of positivity around the place.
Yeah, there should be, but the positivity only lasts as long as the club has been run the way that supporters feel they want it to be run. I think everyone will be asking for a bit of money to be available in January because the squad may need strengthened. I think the way the squad's made up just now, they obviously need more English-based players or compatible for the squad restrictions, if you like. So, and they just cost a bit more money than some of the foreigners that he's bringing in. There's no doubt that the players he's brought in have been doing a fantastic job. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But that might not be the most available route for them. They might have to go buy home-bred players.
Well, at the moment, we've been quite lucky, haven't we, with our players? We brought in a free transfer from Brøndby called Teemu Pukki, and he's been an absolute revelation. each a heart out, Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. And we've also had Max Aarons come out of nowhere, and he's made the right back spot his own. So we've been quite lucky in that aspect, but maybe in January, you know, that would be nice if we had a few million to spare and we could strengthen here and there. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
A few million? They might have to sell like people for like 10 million beforehand. I mean, you say they've come out of nowhere, Ian, but I guess people will say they've put a lot of work into Max Aarons in the academy. And I mean, I suppose what Teemu Pukki seems to have become a bit of a cult figure, really. I guess because people here didn't know who he was. I'm sure the recruitment guys will know exactly what he's done, but
Celtic fans know him well, don't they? Unfortunately, he can't seem to take a penalty either.
No, well, isn't that a running commentary? We will get onto that certainly in a moment too. Do you like the fact that Norwich is so open at the AGM because they have a big old Q&A, and some clubs they don't have to because they're ownership model, or they don't bother with it? And it does seem that Norwich do put themselves out there, probably at their own cost in some seasons.
They've been more open since Stuart Webber came in and sorted everything out, didn't he? So, but if we lose him, that's obviously not going to be good news, is it?
No, well, hopefully they won't just yet.
It's got a bit quiet in that front, isn't it? That was Southampton who were knocking on our door, wasn't it?
Well, reportedly. They were certainly knocking on someone's door. Yeah. What have you made of the job that Stuart Webber has done, Scott?
You can't really argue with it. I was sceptical to start with. Some of the stuff he says, it makes sense. Some of the stuff, not financially even, it makes sense. Some of the stuff I wasn't too sure about, but the proof's in the pudding. At the moment, Norwich are flying high. He's fulfilled his brief. He's doing really well. So, no complaints from me.
Louis K. Keeble says hi from Lowestoft. That's more like it. Lovely to hear from you, Louis. And we've got some more questions here. Well, this is following on actually, so I'll maybe come to you, Scott. Martin Power says, hi gents, do you think we will let any players go or sell any in January? Which I guess is the thing, is Norwich are going so well now. I mean, as I understand it, we'll see what comes out tomorrow. I don't think there's a real need to sell anyone frontline. I think they can hold on until the summer. That would obviously be a huge bonus, wouldn't it, given where they are in the league?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's a core of kind of 15, 16, 17 players that they've been using that they'll keep on diving into. But there are some players at the club. You mentioned Olivieri earlier on. There's a point where he's not going to be happy. He might want to get away. That might release funds or release some money to go and get someone else. So I think there's always going to be a little bit of kind of horse trading, if you like. But I think that'll be it. It'll be more trading and maybe loan deals and things. I think there's areas where Norwich could maybe strengthen their team. But then what I do think is in Norwich's favour is the team spirit they've got. And new players don't come in and strengthen team spirit. It's the group that you got that does that.
It's a great shout, and that means you almost wonder if Norwich need to do too much in January anyway, whereas some clubs will push the boat out, won't they? You can see Derby, Villa going, hang on, we need to splash a bit of money again.
Exactly. I can remember I interviewed Robert Chase once for my fanzine, and I said about strengthening the team, and he said to me, who would you replace? Not a very good impression, I know. But he just didn't. Norwich were top at the time, and obviously we needed to strengthen. We signed, I can't remember who we signed at the time anyway, but he was reluctant to spend any money, and that cost us in the end because we obviously came third.
Oh yes, indeed, that's true. And then it got a bit worse from there,
yeah.
And then he started selling players and not replacing them properly then either. Sorry, Neil Adams, that's bad on Neil Adams, isn't it? 'Cause I love Neil Adams as a player, by the way, but he wasn't real Fox. Anyway, getting down a horrible tangent there. Jason Roberts, have you got over how shocking Jack's jumper was on the TNC podcast? Lots of TNC podcast mentions. Shocking, some people's shocking, other people's awesome. I wasn't really sure what it was, but fair play to Jack for wearing it. And I think on that note, let's move it on to this, Dan. That's right, it's Flip the Bird, the game now refreshed after another week off. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. Last time out, which was a fortnight ago, Ian Clark took the honours with a barely respectable 4, pipping Steve Sanders' debut 3. So tonight, Ian is making his debut on the game, while Scott Howie was spared the ignominy of Flip the Bird last time out. I don't know how you managed that. I'm going to put that right this year. In short, the guys have 30 seconds to flip as many beer mats as possible, adding one to their flipping pile with each successful one-handed catch. Both scores will find their way onto our leaderboard, while the winner tonight will get a much prized selfie with Wesley Moulahan. You both got your piles. You ready? Let's free up some space. Dan, you can have the script. It's gone out the window anyway. There are your piles. We're trying not to knock over any beer mats. Dan, you got the timer? Yeah. 30 seconds. Ready, gents?
3, 2, 1.
And away we go. It's a noisy start there from Ian as he tries to fit one, but he caught that one and he adds the second one, going for the one-handed technique, Ian, whereas Scott's got both hands ready and he's just ticking them over nicely, just like a man who's confident, assured, looks like he's been practicing. If you wondered what we were doing for the 40 minutes we weren't on air, by the way, these two were practicing this. So forget the Norwich City chat. It was all about this. They could have read the Zoe Ward interview in that time, but they opted to practice flip the bird, bar mats. We're almost over. Scott says he's dropped them, but there's 3 over there. And what's in your hand? Right. Number 3. So we're calling 6. 6.
No, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go.
And the 3 on the floor? No. Just a 7. 7. That's a very good score. Ian?
3. It was
3.
Yeah.
So it's a 3, 3, and a 7 for Scott. Well done. Shake hands on it, gents. We're all friends here. 10 points. We'll do a selfie with all of us because that's what we do. And that was enjoyable. Dan, did you enjoy it watching it?
It was all right.
It was all right, he says. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Dan. Do you want to play this thing again?
Sure.
All right. This is Dan's expert opinion. He's officially a flip the bird commentator pundit. You see, they're always trying to pee people off. Right. Well, as we go to the trouble of getting guests in, seems only right we actually spend a little bit of queue time with them, especially as we've made them wait 40 minutes to do it. So, Scott, what's new in your world?
Very little, just same old, to be honest. Just really enjoying Norwich's success at the moment. I think that it's been a surprise to me. I was like most other people. I thought this would be about the time that we'd be talking about who's going to replace the manager, but he's done a fantastic job, and they're up there, and they deserve to be there.
I don't know how much you want to delve into this professionally, but in terms of, you help players with their accounting and taxes and things like that. That's your career post football, which is great. What have you made? And I don't know if it really ties in terms of what's been happening with the PFA and with Graham Taylor. I've got my brain's Gordon Taylor. Mine went completely blank. Gordon Taylor and what's happening with the PFA, because they're obviously going to review the whole situation. I think Gordon Taylor has come under a lot of pressure recently as well from the media.
He has come under a bit of pressure, and he's been at the helm for a long time now. Personally, I think maybe it's time to kind of stand aside and let someone else take over anyway. But I think you've got to put your hands up and say that football has changed dramatically in the time. In the time that he's had the tenure, if you like. Very much the clubs were in control when he first started with the PFA, and now you've got multi-millionaire players, and it's a difficult situation to handle. It's also the way that the money's been structured, and the way that contracts are structured now. There's a lot of things that happen in football that are pretty unfair. Actually, they wouldn't take the money out of the equation. They wouldn't stack up in any other industry, and they're kind of against employment law. Things like transfer windows and things. That doesn't happen to anyone else. So there's a lot of things like that are really unfair, and it's difficult to kind of separate them because there's so much money involved. It's difficult to have any kind of empathy with a top class football player. But he's got to look after the guys at the top, but also the guys at the bottom, and the guys at the bottom are the ones who get hurt quite a lot with these things, and in that respect I think he's done a decent job over the last kind of 20 years, 25 years.
I was going to say, because it does feel like there's a switch that's gone off, and all of a sudden everyone's after Gordon Taylor. That's basically what it looks like if you sum the situation up, and presumably it's not quite that black and white in terms of all of a sudden the PFA is a completely broken ship and nothing's working.
No, I think it does an awful lot of good. It does an awful lot of good in terms of looking after players after the game, in terms of educating players while they're playing football, and trying to encourage different kind of career paths while they're playing and be prepared for that. You've got to remember the PFA is a trade union. That's all it is. It's not. It doesn't have any other. Whatever you think, it doesn't have any other kind of remit. It's there to look after its members, and it's a trade union. So I think he's done a decent job in ever-changing waters, to be honest with you, and it'd be a difficult thing to navigate through.
In terms of your playing, you got to play in the Inter Forever game, didn't you? Back in. Now that feels like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago, and obviously it was marking a terrific period in the club's history too. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, there's nothing.
I know what you got there, Ian.
It's a programme.
The programme from the day. Good stuff. Yeah. Show it.
Yeah.
I don't know which. There it is.
There's a programme. There we go.
Yeah, it's fun. No, it was a great day. It's nothing like seeing some 25 shiny, slim Italians come out to make you feel bad about your lifestyle since retiring. But no, it was.
They did look in pretty good shape, and they did play it.
They did, yeah. I think we were hanging on. early on, but I think once we got our younger players in, it was a little bit easier.
Was it good to have all the guys back as well?
It was. It's the first time I've seen a lot of them. Since I left. So some of the boys. Spencer Pryor came from Australia, and some of the other boys came from all over the country to be there. So it was great to catch up. Really good.
Are you still playing since? Which Vets team are you playing for?
I'm with Cringleford Vets at the moment. So
one or the other, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's one or the other. So it's so far so good. So I'll keep you posted.
Huck's still on it. Is he still on you as well?
Yeah, he's still on it, and we've got Adam Drury now as well. So it's kind of we're getting there.
Simon Lappin turned up, yeah?
Not yet, no, but you've just reminded me. I'll give him a shout.
There you go, lovely stuff. Now, Ian, thank you so much for bringing in your old fanzine. So this was Liverpool are on the telly again, and at one point it was named Manchester United are on the telly again, which was one of the later versions.
Yeah, that was obviously, I changed it to Man United on the telly again later because it was more relevant then. Yeah. They were becoming more successful again. Unfortunately,
it would be everyone is on the telly again.
Everyone else. So this was Norwich City fanzine. They were available. You produced them all yourself. This was when did it run from?
1990 to 2002, if I remember correctly.
So we're talking pre-internet, pretty much.
Yeah.
I know people will argue with that, but generally, and this was how fans had their fun with their football club, and it's I guess the websites. There are a few of them around have sort of taken this over, haven't they? But it's quite different to these fellas.
It's a good bit of nostalgia now, isn't it? I don't know. I think some of the bigger clubs still produce them. I think Man United ones and Man City maybe do, but I don't think it's. I think the environment's different now, so it's not really relevant. But at the time, it was good fun. Met a lot of good people. Met some people at the club quite a lot.
I was going to say, you said you interviewed Robert Chase, so I mean, how was that?
Well, basically, he took over. He took my dictaphone off me and wouldn't give it back.
So it went well then?
Yeah, he was a decent bloke. Well, he was a decent enough bloke, but he just didn't care about Norwich. Well, he didn't care about the playing side. He cared about the money side.
We all have our passions in life. That's probably the best thing to say about old dear Robert Chase at that point. And of course, you've now got your Norwich City Heaven website. So you enjoying putting that together? I mean, do you use the essence of what you did with the fanzine at the website?
Yeah, that's basically something that if I fancy writing an article from time to time, I just post it. So it's not something I do regularly. It's just a bit of fun here and there, basically.
And it's out there if people want to post on it. Norwich City Heaven.
norwichcityheaven.co.uk.
Beautiful work, Ian. Top man. Great. Right, let's move on then, shall we, to our notice board. And it's a couple of hours. No, that's not right. It's not a couple of hours of notice board, don't we? A couple of things. Here we go. First up, if the long poke to Swansea isn't your cup of tea, don't worry, we're going for you, so you don't have to. Then head down to the Community Sports Foundation's open day at the Nest between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. That is on Saturday. Phase 1 of the Horsford site's redevelopment was finished in the summer. The funding is currently being raised for Phase 2. You'll get a tour of the facilities, meet the staff, and there will even be some free refreshments. So that's always good. So get yourself along. Secondly, now meet Lavinia M. Mepstead, I hope I've got that right, who really does look resplendent in her Norwich City gear. Her son-in-law, Paul Steinkirchner, posted these pictures of Lavinia in our new PinkUn app. Now, Lavinia is a huge City fan and spent a lot of time in Cromer when she lived in England. She now resides in Rochester, New York, which I'm sure is lovely, with her dog named Caro. Yeah, love that. And despite being recently diagnosed with dementia, Paul says talking about her favourite football team and her travels to Norwich and Cromer always bring a huge smile to Lavinia's face. So, thanks for sharing, Paul and Lavinia. We all hope Norwich City keep you smiling all the way across the pond. The joys of the internet hopefully means that you will get to see this for yourself, all being well. And finally, I was going to have a picture from the internet, which I haven't got, but you all have noticed that there was a tweet from Aviva. I think it was retweeted by Norwich City this afternoon. It looked both tasty and important, and that's all I can tell you. You'll find out tomorrow, but it's worth reiterating that it is Rainbow Laces weekend coming up, so keep an eye out, and if you can, wear those laces with pride. I have got mine, but I think they got lost in the technical difficulties, so let's just imagine that I'm wearing them as a tie, and that is perfect. What a professional show this is. If there are any tweets, stories, events or groups of a Canaries nature that you want to flag up here on the PinkUn Show's Norwich City notice board, then let us know via all the usual social media channels or Dan Strap with an email to thepinkun@archon.co.uk. I've got Unchained Melody ringing in my ears. It's putting me off. If we'd have started on time, that wouldn't have happened, but there we go. So, it is the final international break of 2018. That is done, almost over. Here is how the championship looks on its much anticipated return. And the slides are there for you, boys. Ipswich will resume hostilities 5 points adrift at the bottom after failing to beat either of Reading or Preston before the break. Millwall will be heavily looking over their shoulders, while Brentford and Wigan have been stumbling. And of course, this still looks very good to us. Norwich are still top. Obviously, no one's played. 2 points clear of Middlesbrough, 6 ahead of 7th. They are the first team to hit 10 wins this term, despite 5 teams having lost fewer games than Norwich. But it's fair to say the top half as a whole still cuts a tight affair. So here's how the championship restarts. City have their tough trip to Wales, while Ipswich kick things off the evening before at home to West Brom. There's also the second City derby on the Sunday. Then there is a swift turnaround for a full midweek programme, with City off to Hull and back on Tuesday, the Blades off to the Bees, and Preston hosting Middlesbrough. Come Wednesday, Swansea West Brom looks tasty, as do the games at Villa Park and the Britannia. Gentlemen, what is the first thing that goes through your mind when you see the top half of the championship as it stands?
How far away Ipswich are from it.
Yeah, they are a long way away from the top half of the table.
Yeah. Disbelief, really. Norwich are top.
I mean, I found myself looking at it a few days later and still shaking my head because it wasn't supposed to be like this, Scott.
No, I don't think anyone wrote this. It's normally in the championship with any league really, you can look at a financial table with the wage scale and see where people are going to finish. And I'm looking at Norwich there, and they're clearly they're beating 10, 12 teams who are all spending more money than them. So that's tremendous success, that is.
And other teams have done this. I mean, obviously Huddersfield is the pertinent example because of Stuart Webber, but there are other teams that have finished in the top 6, not really spent a lot of money, but because they're a tight unit and they've recruited well and built well, they do topple teams that get relegated from the Premier League and things like that.
Exactly. There's obviously teams like Middlesbrough, Leeds, West Brom coming down. Derby always seems to spend money, especially on their managers. And obviously Swansea are going to have money still from last season. Aston Villa seem to have loads of money. So considering we're top, it's brilliant.
Long may it continue.
Long may it continue, indeed. Yeah.
They've done it the hard way. They're winning most of their games by an odd goal. I think all but maybe 1 or 2 games this year they've won by an odd goal. And when the margins are that fine, a little bit of luck either way can make all the difference. So the luck has been going Norwich's way. I think certainly in the Millwall game it was going Norwich's way. But I think it's a hard way to win a league. They're not out and out thrashing teams and playing expansive football, but they're working hard at it.
I'll tell you what, that leads on to my next question then. When do we consider Norwich as genuine promotion contenders?
Personally, it's so tight at the top at the moment, and I don't think anyone's really running away with it. When you look at the points per game, you'd be expecting the winner of the championship to have an extra 4 or 5 points more than Norwich have got at the moment. So no one's really taken it on yet. But I think they will. I think all the teams in the kind of top 6 or 7 positions are capable of a run and capable of really piling on the points. So I think I'd like to wait till kind of February before we can start.
February, Scott, they're so far away. Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah. How tough? I'll ask you this one, Ian. How tough have Ipswich got it from here?
I think Ipswich are below. I think they're down.
Even with Paul Lambert in charge?
Yeah. Well, obviously I hope they go down anyway, but I think they're too far away now. They're going to have to win about 3 games to get out the bottom 3 and hope the 2 teams above them sort of lose there. So I know he's all optimistic. Oh, we've drawn a couple of games. Wow, but so,
Dan like that. Dan like that one. And the point was, before Paul Lambert arrived, people were saying you've got 2 really winnable games. You've got to win at least one of them, and they've drawn them both.
Well, I think that the 7 points clear of getting out of where they are, and the goal difference is so bad that they're going to need 7 or 8 points to do that. It's probably taken them the best part of 12, 15 games to get the last 7 points. So no, it's not looking good. They need a complete reversal of fortunes, and it's difficult when you're down there.
Maybe this is where it starts for them. We'll see. Let's get through some of your messages, shall we? Mark Newstead, Zoe Ward intimated in her interview about possible improvements at Carrow Road. Any ideas? Safe standing? Mark, I would say that's behind the scenes. I would say that's in terms of staff and procedures and things like that. I would imagine safe standing is something they will work on, and they may well crowdfund it. I would guess in terms of from what I know, but I don't think it's necessarily immediate. Well, let's see if they go up, because they won't have safe standing in the Premier League yet. So
no, not yet. But well, the rules change all the time. I think there's a lot of people looking at that, and it seems to be a viable thing for the future of football.
Absolutely, too true. Barry Taylor, time now to strengthen the squad and get those on the injured list back and competing. Yes, we'll touch on that in a moment, David. And then David McKenzie asks, where would you strengthen in January? Left back for me. One suggestion from each of you?
Yeah, left back. That's probably where I'd sort of try and strengthen. Yeah.
I think maybe just someone in behind the front players, an advanced midfielder. I think would be all right for me.
So number 10, Norwich over number 10, surely not. Wendy Little, hello. What is happening to Nelson and Evo? Will they go in January?
That really depends, right? Well, Oliveira, obviously. Who's going to want to buy him if they haven't seen him play? We could sell him. We could get probably £1 for him or something.
It'll be really interesting what happens with Nelson, certainly. Ruth,
35 yet? Can he play for the Cringleford Vets?
When has age been a vet? Does he have to be 35 to play?
35, yeah.
He can have a ringer. Just tell him he's 35. Tell him to grow his beard. Grow your beard, Nelson. You get a gig with Cringleford Vets. Ruth Collins, really enjoyed the Zoe Ward interview. Everyone should read it. I agree. Obviously, Ruth, PinkUn.com. Have a read of it, especially these two. Ian, what else have we got? John Parker, Liverpool on the telly again. Remember it well. He likes that, John. Good stuff. And Mark Davies, please thank... I haven't read all this message yet, so here we go. Michael, please thank Scott for the pint he got me at Chester Races about 13 years ago. That's a memory.
I tell you, Chester memory... I don't think I remember anything about Chester Races that day.
Do you make a common occurrence of buying the pints, or do you generally get them bought?
That doesn't seem to be part of the course for me, to be honest with you. It's not something I normally do, but...
Mark, yes, that's true. Scott did buy Dan a drink. That's it. Mark, he remembers it well. That's what you need to remember from that. Right, let's move it on to Swansea then, shall we? Now, for me, Swansea sat in 8th. I would say if they're still there come January, I think they're serious contenders, because I think they've got a good squad and a very good manager in charge. Definitely worth not underestimating them on Saturday.
No, I wouldn't write them off. I think they're a good team. I mean, they're not far off. No one right down to kind of 10th or 11th is kind of by any means out of it. But Swansea, they've done it before. They have got a good young manager in there. They're a well set up club, so I'd expect them to kind of to make a run.
It should be a good game on the eye, shouldn't it? Because Swansea like playing football, or they didn't when they got relegated. But other than that, they have done, and Norwich are too. Yeah,
I think over the last, especially since when Lambert was manager, and after that, there's been a few sort of high-scoring games against Swansea. We've usually, I think we've only won a couple. I think the last few times we failed to beat them. But it's going to be a tough one. I think a draw would be a good result Saturday.
Yeah, I think when Norwich are, it's phenomenal the amount of games Norwich have won. They've won 10 of their 17 games, so that is obviously a good habit to get into. Normally we look at the guys' 11s, but I've found that this feature isn't very good at this when things are going well, because no one changes the team. So on that basis, Ian, let's have a look at your 11.
Well, obviously it's the same as the last team.
And to be fair, Scott, that's what you said you'd have done as well.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it does kind of bring up the fact, I guess, Kenny McLean, we're hoping he'll be involved soon. Have you caught much of... you're Scottish, so I'm assuming you would have caught a lot of Kenny McLean, Scott.
No, do you know, I've not seen him play, but I've heard very good reports of him. He's supposed to be a very, very talented player. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits in.
And I guess we're hoping that Grant Hanley will be on the bench and at least close to being back involved, I guess.
Well, yeah, exactly. Obviously, Grant he'd be hoping that Norwich do okay. He wouldn't want anyone to get injured, so he comes on, but he might get a few minutes at the end if we're sort of trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead or something. He might get the last couple of minutes to sort of tie it up at the back in the last few seconds. But what more can you do? We're doing really well at the moment. Why change it?
Yeah, bang on indeed. And fortunately, after a long trip to Wales, we've got a lovely trip to Hull on Tuesday night, which out of places to get to from Norwich is probably the worst place to get to from Norwich. And they're a funny club, aren't they? Because, you know, while Swansea seem to have done a reasonable adjustment so far, it's such a mess, isn't it? Hull behind the scenes, off the pitch, and that's sort of translated in on the pitch as well. And it kind of underlines that actually, in many ways, we can be quite thankful about how Norwich have adapted. It's been very tough, but at least they've stabilised the ship, whereas Hull haven't done that.
Yeah, I mean, when any one club is reliant on one person or one family, and it kind of starts going wrong, it can be really difficult. Norwich is a very well-run club from that, and the restructuring shows you that's worked. I think Hull, it's a shame to see, but I suppose it's always been that way. There's bigger clubs in Hull who have gone into free fall and gone down including Norwich for that matter. We've not gone down a couple of divisions, so the Championship's a difficult division. There's no guarantees with it. There's a lot of good teams in there.
There are indeed.
I think with Hull, at least they're still called Hull, because they were going to be Hull Tigers, weren't they, or something. But last season we should have won there, shouldn't we? Madison got a hat-trick, so this time we've got to turn it round and at least get a draw there.
It was a truly ridiculous game there last year, Mr. Tim Robinson, but at least Harry Wilson doesn't play for them anymore, so that certainly helps. Final question on the feed from Mark Hilton. Who is going to take the next penalty then? And will they miss another one and get another one? Max Aaron's for me, no fear, naivety of youth. So it feels like a bit of a gamble, but there we go. Scott, who takes the next penalty?
It's got to be Tim Krul's turn, surely.
Do you ever take a penalty?
Do you know, I did when I was about 15 and I missed it, and I never took another one. I went all the way right through the whole team and then got to me and I missed it. I was gutted.
Oh, it reminds me of Paddy Davitt's column over at PinkUn.com. He says exactly the same. Took a penalty when he was about 7, missed it, never took another one competitively. So there we go. I've never missed one at Carrow Road. That's fine. I've taken 5, so just throw that one in there. Ian, who's going to take the next penalty?
Apparently Morris Leitner wants to take the next penalty.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes. He did tell us that, yeah.
Surely Neil Adams, I believe he's still at the club as the lone arranger. Surely he should be got in to sort of give some advice, because he was a brilliant penalty taker, wasn't he?
Was.
Penalty
coach. It's surely the next stage of football.
He was a good penalty taker, but not a good manager. Sorry.
Dig Ian, harsh. Keep it to the fanzine. No, we love it. Okay, well, the final 2 questions then. 2 road trips. I would like a key man. Who's going to be the key man for both of those road trips? So one person. And how many points Norwich will pick up from those 2 games?
I think 4 points from the 2 games. Key man for the first will be Closer, and key man for the second game will be whoever plays up front, whether it's Rose or Pookie, one of them, whoever gets the goals. Yeah.
Pookie? Yeah. I'd say 4 points for both games. A draw at Swansea, a win at Hull. Key man Closer for Saturday, and for Tuesday, Pookie.
I love it, gents. Top work. That is us for tonight. We are done. We have finished after a late start, although we're still earlier than normal. Who can fathom it? Remember, you can catch all of this show and our superb Norwich City coverage on the PinkUn's Facebook page, YouTube channel, and our brand new app. But, of course, first and foremost, PinkUn.com. I'll be in Wales on Saturday alongside Paddy Davitt and Dave Freezer, as well as on Humberside on Tuesday night. I might get to see my family at some point in those days. So make sure you keep tabs on PinkUn.com and the new PinkUn app for all our build-up, team news, live coverage, reaction and analysis. And if you see us around, make sure you please say hello. We'll be back again from Hull, fresh from Hull in fact, next Wednesday evening for from our new regular time of 6 p.m. live from the Woolpack on Golden Ball Street in the centre of Norwich for another PinkUn show with all the usual fun and games. So please join us then, 6 o'clock, be it in the flesh or of course online. We're also working on popping in on a few venues in the new year. So watch this space and feel free to volunteer your favourite locations with an email to thepinkun@archon.co.uk, and it's the same email if you want to join us here on the show as one of our fan pundits. In the meantime, a big thank you to our guests tonight, to Scott Howie and to Ian Lindsay. Gents, thank you so much, much appreciated. Happy we re-debut, Ian?
Absolutely.
We'll have you on again. Top man, thanks for coming in. Thank you to the Wool Pack, thanks to the crew, for Dan, who didn't just walk out on 6:10. He nearly did. I'd have gone first. And of course to you guys for your patience and for watching and getting involved on the feed. We always really appreciate it. We'll see you again next week. Until then, we're on the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. I'm not singing it. And let's hope it's the same road that led City to the top of the Championship. Good night.